I'm Mari Rain. On today's episode of Heaven on Earth, I have the pleasure of sitting down with well-known author, artist, yogi, and spiritual life coach, Teemaree. Come with me on a journey as we discover Teemaree's passion for ministry and becoming founder of ALLSWELL Lifestyle. Welcome to Heaven on Earth. Teemaree, thank you so much for being here with us at Heaven on Earth. How are you doing today?
Oh my gosh, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me, Mari. I really appreciate getting to spend this time with you and your listeners.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Yes, I'm truly honored to have an opportunity to get to know you better and share your gift and your light with others. So, what I like to do is kind of allow our listeners to get to know you a little bit better, because here on Heaven on Earth is a place where people come to learn about individuals that inspire others to live their dreams. And you are a true reflection of this reality and more, for you truly help others to heal and access a life of love and joy and spirituality and freedom. You are such a gift to humanity. And I'm excited for others to learn more about you, beginning with where are you originally from?
Oh, well, thank you for that. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California, specifically the San Fernando Valley. Um, I was born in Los Angeles and raised in the San Fernando Valley. So, yeah, that's my heart. Myself and friends and my husband, we call it the Great 18 because 818 is the area code, or used to be. I mean, now it's area codes are everywhere, but yes, so that's where I'm originally from, and an LA native, all the way.
Nice. Did you grow up with a very big family?
Actually, no, not really. I have I have three brothers, two of which we share the same mother and father. And then my youngest brother, we share a father and he has a different mother than we do. But I have three brothers. I'm the oldest. And just because of different factors in my childhood, I actually had a rather isolated kind of experience growing up. So, not really it's funny because actually, um, ancestry wise, if you will, or in terms of relatives, I have a very big family. But the
Mm,
experience that I have had has been more of a smaller family experience and even an isolated kind of experience from family.
interesting. Now, did you grow up with a very religious background or spiritual, base for your family life?
Oh my gosh, no. Um, it's funny. I only laugh because I think that just shows the love and grace of God. So I certainly did not have a relationship with God because of my parents or because of my family. I was born technically Catholic, but my family didn't have any kind of practicing religious beliefs, except for one of my grandmothers, my paternal grandmother, who would go to mass every Sunday and such. Um, However, in our experiences with our family, there wasn't really any kind of spiritual practice or going to church. My mom would try off and on every once in a while, but really there was no kind of thing there. Now, in my heart, though, ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to know who God was. And so
Mm,
I would say roughly around the age of maybe 10 or 11, because at that time, I mean, you could play in the neighborhood and kind of go down the street and such. I would kind of start to take myself to different churches because
mm.
the Catholic experience I always found to be very confusing as a child. And so, yeah, I only laughed because I feel it is a testimony to God's love and endless
Mm.
reaching out to us, that I got to kind of have that fire or desire within and continue. Uh,
Wow. No, I find that fascinating. I love meeting individuals that come from a specific uh, religious or spiritual belief, and then something happens and takes place in their life, and then all of a sudden they blossom or they remember a truth of who they are, that has nothing to do with what their traditional or home-based methodology, growing up. And in that process, did you have, as a child, did you have who was your greatest influence, would you say?
My greatest influence as a child was my grandmother, Teresa. She was my queen. She was my everything. She was
Mm,
like a mother to me. Um, she, a lot of the things that I think became core parts of my personality came from her. She taught me to speak up for myself. She taught me to, like, she reinforced that. And she was also a stabilizing force in my life and someone that would continuously kind of feed into me throughout
mm,
my journey growing up. And so I definitely, both by example and watching her do various
hmm
things, and also by the feeding into my life that she consistently gave, she remains to this day, even though she passed, a very big kind of beacon and a reason for me to um, kind of honor legacy, if you will.
mm, yes. Now, let me ask you, because I believe from the core of my heart that all great teachers and healers as yourself, they have an aha moment or an awakening that ignites a fire or an understanding of who they are and their commitment to be of service to others. Do you remember having a moment that you just realized, wow, this is what I'm choosing, how I'm going to allow spirit to work through me in my life as a healer?
Yeah, yes, that's actually a really great question and a really great insight that you've had. It is true. I have had an aha moment and I have had aha moments.
Mm,
And the reason why I think it's important to stress that is because we are all divine beings here on this planet, and we hear the voices within, the voice within. We receive those messages, and sometimes we just ignore them because they might not seem grand enough. They
mm,
might not seem like enough of a pivot from where we currently are. And I can tell you that I've had many aha moments, starting from when I was a young child and something inside of me seeking to find out who God is. I remember for the
mm,
longest time, I thought, someday I want to hug God. Like
mm.
someday, and like these things had to have come from some sort of deeper knowing, some
Yes.
sort of intuition, some sort of love or light that was calling me forth. And then further, at that time maybe it was just the desire or the impetus to dig further and to educate and to learn and to cultivate perhaps, right? But then
hmm
further, you know, then it became a refinement of my character and a beginning to choose different things. um, and then later on in life, having those larger or maybe if you would louder calls that have caused me to pivot from, let's say, focusing all of my attention and my energy towards becoming an artist, and what I thought, very very much thought, was my childhood dream. I thought I would die happy if that's all I did, and then suddenly that wasn't it anymore. And not in any way that was with any kind of negative charge towards what I was doing or judgment, but I just was suddenly awakened to being of service in a deeper way, of
Mm,
living a more authentic life, of allowing myself to take everything, first of all, recognize everything I'd been given, and then take it to serve others by way of being a coach and an author and a minister. So, yes, there have been aha moments.
mm,
I find that they come in a multitude of ways, but the two I'd like to share, or that I've experienced, aha moments for me have come in the depths of despair and have also come at the pinnacle of joy.
mm.
those two scenarios, uh, if we allow ourselves to listen, we will find that that we're being spoken to, and that something is being forged from those places.
Yes. Yes. Oh, wow. I just love listening to you speak. As you continue to express your moments, it allows me to reflect on moments that I've experienced in the depths of despair, as well as on the hills of enlightenment. And I just appreciate you bringing light to that because I know so many people will be able to relate to that. Now, it also here in your bio says as a if you are a spiritual life coach, and
Mm-hmm,
if I were
mm-hmm.
someone seeking healing or looking for change, what would that process look like when I came to you?
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, what it looks like to engage in coaching with me is, first of all, we go through a very customized process. We dig deep into what is happening, and not in a therapeutic way, not in a rehashing of things that are painful, but in an honest inventory of what it is that is happening right now and where it is that you would want to go. And then we go through a process together, a process that involves joy, ease, and lots of grace, so
Mm.
that we can go through a series of experiences together that will allow for greater awakening. Now, I say spiritual life coach because it is fundamental that any client that works with me understands that we are also working with powers way outside of
Mm.
our mental understanding. And the reason why I think that's important is because God is much greater than us, created us, loved us, and loves us still. And so, while I absolutely provide everything I share with every single one of my clients, everything that I put in my books, everything that I do goes through the filter of my actual experience. I do not share theory.
Mm.
However, I love to plug into where two or more are gathered, focused on my
Yes.
clients' goals and needs, and say, lead us. And then we open up to something that is greater than even my expertise and what my clients' thoughts are, because then we're really cooking with gas, if you
Mm.
will, it's
Yes.
really going. So that's what it is. It's a process of, and the reason why I say spiritual life coach, I would go back and forth, will people get it? Do they understand? But it's imperative that I leave that in the title, because it, it is a spiritual situation that we go through. Practical tips and tools are absolutely shared and provided. We do get to the brass tacks of what to do and how to do and timing and things of that nature, but it's more than that. And I
Mm.
think it's important for anyone who is considering me, um, to have all of the information, or at least as clearly as possible from the beginning.
Wow. You know what's beautiful is listening to you, and you're someone that doesn't have to tell others that you are a minister. You are everything that you say, every aspect of the words and how you even speak them. You can hear the healing, you can hear the voice of God speaking through you. And that is wonderful. And it's phenomenal because I'm feeling I'm getting healing is going on as you speak. And let me ask you, what is the faith that your ministry is based upon?
Well, I am a Christian. Now, I need to clarify this though, especially in today's climate and what we have seen. Let me just say, in what we have seen shared the loudest. I When I say I'm a Christian, what I mean by that is that my goal and my desire is to be as Christ-like as possible.
Mm.
Um, I do not consider myself to be a religious person, because I'm not about religion. I'm about relationship,
Mm.
a relationship with God. So what that means to me is being close to God the Father and being close, hopefully, as much as I can in heart and mind and soul, as close to Christ the Son. And I don't push my beliefs on anyone. Uh, I just seek to serve from that place. And I also, even though I do consider myself a Christian, I do not need for my clients to be Christian. I do
Mm,
not need for people that listen to my messages or come to my website or buy my books to be Christian, because I, even in my own spiritual journey, like I said, I was born Catholic. So technically, if we did things the technical way, the religious way, I should have had to stay a Catholic.
mm,
But that didn't feel right. And then in the various spiritual studies I've had, remember I said I would go to different churches, right? So
yes.
I've sat down with Jehovah Witnesses. I have, when it comes to healing, I've learned about Reiki healing. I understand yogic breath and these type of things. I once or have been to an ashram where you're experiencing yoga and there's chanting and things that on the surface you say, well, what is this? What does this mean? What are we talking about here? And I have to admit, I even went through those emotions when I was sitting in these new arenas. I've also experienced digging into the Bible and the teachings of Christ from a science of mind
Mm,
perspective, meaning almost bringing our heart and belief, but also with an intention to prove in our experience. And so, because I know that all of these things, for me, for my walk, um, brought me to what feels good to me, which is Christianity, Jesus
mhm,
Christ, and God the Father. Um, I don't discount the other paths that may lead to God because I don't know them.
mm,
So, uh, to answer your question, yes, I am a Christian. And what I mean by that is to hopefully radiate as much love and peace and oneness with God the Father that I don't need to worry about what other people have going on. I can hopefully be a light in the world and connect with those that can I can be of service to.
oh, that's beautiful. No, I also read in your bio that you studied and became a spiritual practitioner. Is this under the guise of Ernest Holmes?
Yes, indeed.
All
Yes,
right.
indeed.
Are you a part of the Agape family as well?
I have visited the Agape Church. I enjoy Michael Beckwith very much. I think he's a dynamic person, and I love the way that he teaches. And yes, I've had so much fun going to Agape. I actually my home church where I received my studies under the Centers of Spiritual Living and became a religious science practitioner was based in North Hollywood. And
Okay.
it's, yeah, it actually, oddly enough, I didn't realize it until I went through my experience there, but Ernest Holmes actually did teach at one time at that church.
Yes.
Was so yes, yes, indeed. Yeah, I'm so glad you know that. So few people do.
Yes, yes. Actually, my mother was a spiritual practitioner of religious science, and so I started my journey as well here in the Bay Area. And then when I moved to Los Angeles, I continued with the Agape with Michael Beckwith. So I'm still on that journey. I haven't completed the course, but it definitely is part of the core of my understanding of life and existence.
Oh my gosh, that is wonderful. That is wonderful news. Now, are you taking classes on your journey to perhaps become a licensed practitioner yourself, or how do you experience it so far?
Yes, great question. I originally started with my mother and my grandmother here years ago, all three of us. My mother was actually a spiritual practitioner at the time, and she was teaching foundation class. And I had the honor of taking that class with my grandmother. And
Mhm.
since then, my grandmother has passed away, and so has my mother. And so I, moving to Los Angeles, knew Agape was there and found home. And so I said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and follow, my heart, my reason for being here. And part of that is understanding God, as you say, and becoming living in the Christ. And I began my journey with agape, taking the classes. And I honestly believe my vibrational frequency and life changed, became so magnified that I attracted a career into my life that pulled me away from it. But I
Mhm.
find myself now being called to go back once again. So it's eternally a part of me. Now I'm just really making the commitment to say yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is wonderful.
Yeah, so it's so it just brings me joy when I find fellow sisters and brothers that are understand religious science and spiritual, being a spiritual practitioner and the joy that it brings to life.
I tell you, it wasn't until I found the teachings,
Hmm.
those specific teachings with Centers of Spiritual Living. It wasn't until I found that, I tell you, Mari, when I went to my first, I had discovered it in a book. I
Hmm.
was reading a book that I wasn't even shopping for. And this is the beauty, okay? We had gone to the bookstore. I wasn't even shopping for books. I was just spending time because my husband wanted to browse.
Hmm.
And I landed on a book called 29 Gifts: How a Month of Giving Can Change Your Life by Cami Walker.
Hmm.
And it instantly, I got a little jolt, a little like, I want this book, even though I didn't want a book.
Right.
And so I started to read this book, and she is the one who said and mentioned North Hollywood Church of Religious Sciences, and as soon another zing.
Yes.
Huh. What is this? I looked it up, and lo and behold, it was roughly, I would say, a couple miles from where I was living at the time. And I thought, let me go and see what's happening there. And so I went on a Wednesday evening under Reverend Mark LaPonce. And at the end of the gathering, at the end of the service, they said, and we now bless all people, all synagogues, ashrams. And I just get emotional because
Yes.
for the first time in my life, I had been searching. I had gone to Catholic Church, Jehovah Witness, Christian churches, mega churches, small churches. I had gone to Baptist, Seventh day Adventist. And it was the first time in my life that I had been gathered with spiritual souls wanting to bless everyone. There was no one group
Yes.
that was wrong or going to be damned or forsaken. And my heart, I immediately knew I was home. It was
Yes.
2011, and from then I ran and did not walk. I was constantly emailing the reverend, when are classes coming, what's the path?
Yes.
And lo and behold, like I said, after receiving these wonderful teachings, they did only for me. And I know it's for every person is different, right?
Yes.
For some people, it may radiate the Buddha. For some people, for me, it radiated only more of Christ's love and God's love.
Mm.
And so that was kind of what came of it. But it was those teachings that I feel brought me home.
Mm. Oh, that's beautiful. It's just amazing as I'm listening to your journey and, I myself, as well as others, there's those magical moments that are unexplainable where you receive a jolt, like a reminder, because people say that we are not really learning anything. We're just remembering, we're waking up to what is already innately true to our soul,
Hmm.
what is innately true to who we are as a being. And, it's just beautiful to hear how that came about in your life. How you said you got that little zing to
Yeah.
let you know, pay attention. This is this is more than just a moment. Now, this brings me into you're an author. You are
Mhm.
a published author. You've written transformational books that spark joy, books to spark personal development and inspire others to reclaim their power.
Mhm.
Tell me about that journey. I see there's 4 books. You've got 10 ways to move from fear to faith,
Mhm.
Love for You Now, and Love for You Now, the coloring book,
Mhm.
and Invite God In. How
Yeah.
did you decide, yes, I'm now going to be of service through writing, becoming an author?
Oh my goodness. Well, the first time, 10 ways to move from fear to faith originally just came, it was a total jolt of wanting to be of service. And at the time, all I could kind of muster with that book was just thinking of it as an ebook form. And so, because that was the case, perhaps, it just was an immediate. dare I say, easy or a very flowing state in which that came. Once I graduated to the thought of really wanting to publish my book, like have books on Amazon, and it felt somewhat larger. And usually, as the human mind will do, we become maybe a little scared or nervous because it seems like a bigger thing. Now this is
Mm.
bigger. And in that way, it was a kind of kind of interesting. I feel there was somewhat of a testing and refining process as I personally went through my journey to becoming a published author. But really, what the spark was, what continues to motivate me to this day, is my method, what is now my method of transformation, which is transformation made easy through joy. I am
Mm.
super passionate about this only because I have lived a life of many hardships. I have lived a life of needing to bootstrap my way through things, either because I have felt alone, have been alone, or have been leading the pack, if you will. So um, I didn't have counsel. I didn't have mentors. I didn't have someone that
Mm.
would coach me or help me. Now, as I went through this process and started to gain more and more tools and understanding and awareness, then uh, I realized, wow, how wonderful to be able to offer this to someone and let them have the shortcut. Because, boy, when you're spending years on something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what made it even deeper was the realization that as adults, so often, my goodness, when we're picking up something new or when we're wanting to make a change in our lives, I tell you, it's as though we need to be punished through it. It becomes a very
Mm.
difficult course or a lengthy book or a wordy thing, or now it's in our heads. And I thought, you know what? No, I want to provide life-changing information, life-changing books and practices that are fun, that are not heavy
Mm.
lifting, because the yoke is easy and the burden is light.
Yes.
So how can I do this? And so that was the impetus. And really, I just have kept through it. So Love for You Now provides visuals and affirmations. It can be used 4 ways, and it has been wonderful, the feedback that I've gotten on that book, because I've
Mm.
had very medical, intellectual minds even have the ability to experience more happiness, joy, and now a playful awareness of love all around them. And that was really great. And
Mm.
then the coloring book, that's another thing. I started to look at coloring books for adults and I say, "Oh my goodness, now it's a maze, it's a giant mandala," which I get. Maybe some people want to color something that's very complex. And I thought, well, what if we just had some simple pictures to color with some affirmative statements? Perhaps you can color
Mm.
with children in your family, or perhaps you can come to being childlike yourself. Where now, instead of looking at a complex design that maybe brings you into a headspace of wanting to make it super beautiful, or it again brings you into the mind, maybe you can just be childlike
Mm.
again
Yes.
and meditate as you loosely color into these simple pictures on the simple affirmative statement that is included with the photo, reminding that you are not only loved, but you are intrinsically loved, regardless of whether or not you've been single your whole life, never had a child, don't care about dating. You're loved, and
Mm.
it's there for you. And then with Invite God In, I've had, you know, and very very much, being someone that has learned through religious science, prayer and the way we pray is a big deal.
Yes.
And so Invite God In offers the opportunity to immediately snap out of the circumstance, look up the prayer you need, and pray in first person from a place of power, from a place of
Yes.
knowing and understanding that you are blessed, you are loved, and what you need is given. And there's a scripture verse, because again, I do not share theory, I share experience, and I share what is in scripture we find, because that's another thing that I felt that was important, is that it's it's backed up, you know?
Mm.
It's backed up. We're backed up. Our prayers are backed up. This is available to each and every one of us. And so each of the books, 10 Ways to Move from Fear to Faith, the first book, has, we dig into it, uh, aspects of fear, how to break out of it. And then there's printable affirmation cards at the end. So you can take those with you,
Beautiful.
you know? So um, my desire to provide fun yet powerfully transformative tools um, was important, and it's the impetus as to why I began authoring books.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's just, I am actually really, I'm looking forward to going out and purchasing your books today. I've had an opportunity to kind of browse through and, see a little bit of what you have to offer, and hearing you talk about the passion and the journey for you for these books to evolve and be available. I mean, I haven't purchased a book in a while. Are these only on ebooks, or can I actually purchase a paperback?
Oh, well, all are, it's so exciting. Okay, so my first book, 10 Ways to Move from Fear to Faith, is solely
Hmm.
an ebook.
Okay.
Love for You Now and Love for You Now coloring book and Invite God In are paper books and Kindle version. Invite God In is I got super excited because that was my first book that also is in audiobook format. Now,
Oh,
depending on what you wish to purchase, you can purchase one, whichever one speaks to you, or multiple. But if you are interested in buying multiple, on my website, I offer a power bundle, which will provide you with the four books, and it is the best value you can get as well, because you get to buy them directly from me, so I can give you a lower price than if you were to buy each from Amazon.
oh,
So the options are
that's
there.
wonderful. Oh, that's
Hmm.
wonderful. Because yeah, I download and I do Kindle quite often, but there is such a pleasure with having that actual book in hand. So just knowing that you have all options, I'm just really excited and looking forward to. Now you have it. It's Amazon, Goodreads, and also perhaps if on your website, which I'll put the link below. It's www.teenamarie.com. That's where you can have an opportunity to purchase the bundle.
Well, it's teemaree.com, and that's,
Team.
yeah, TEEMAREE.com.
Beautiful. Now, coming with this as well as being an author, being a spiritual life coach, as well as a minister, you are also founder of Allswell Lifestyle. Tell us a little bit about that as well.
So, Allswell Lifestyle is about to go through a revamp stage. Um, Basically, it is the place to come and get additional goodies to support you knowing your highest truth. So, that it came to me, I would say, roughly 2 years ago, and I did start it, and we've had products on the website, but it's about to go through a major revamping. So anyone that is listening and interested, signing up to the email list would be wonderful, because there will be plenty of wonderful offerings coming through there, and opportunities just to partake in the celebration of the brand new relaunch that will be happening, I would say roughly at the end of April.
Hmm.
Um, but the point of Allswell Lifestyle is to have a lifestyle where all's well. And what I find is that what we focus on is what grows in our life. And so the opportunity to be able to purchase apparel, let's say, that when you put that on, when you see yourself in the mirror, you're reminded that you're loved, you're strong, you're blessed, you're powerful, you're limitless. Being able to purchase products and things that will keep your mindset uh,
Mm.
focused on your power and your ability to do and to create and to be. That is so important. It is so
Yes.
important, and it brings me so much joy to be able to do that through All's Well Lifestyle, because it is uh, greater than myself. Another thing that I'm really excited about is I just, like I said, I like to make transformation easy through joy, and
Hmm.
Allswell Lifestyle is an extension of that, with apparel, home goods, and soon, coming soon, um, offerings for your mindset, and even uh, a church experience. So I'm really quite excited about it.
Well, and you can find access to All's Well Lifestyle through your website as well.
Yes, yes, indeed. Yeah, through
Beautiful.
teamaree.com.
Teemaree.com. Now, I've also discovered that you do meditation prayer on Insight Timer. Is that like an app that you download, or how does that work?
Yes, I'm really proud to be a teacher on Insight Timer just because they've grown to be pretty much the largest meditation app in the world.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
so it's a really wonderful space where I'm able to provide for the community there. It's throughout the world, and it's wonderful. I've even started doing some live yoga sessions there, and it's just great. Um, the offerings that I have on there are meditation tracks, guided meditation tracks, affirmation tracks, prayer, and I also do live yoga sessions there. So there will be an opportunity to be able to enjoy some of these offerings on All's Well Lifestyle as we go through the revamp. But what's good about connecting with me now there is that, we can, first of all, you can access the stuff immediately 24/7. And then also there's a kind of community component to it, which is really nice as well.
Wonderful. Well, I just love that you know, that you are so multifaceted because I feel like, everything that you're providing, all this information, I'm ready to dive in and be a part of. Um, for instance, I also noticed that you have podcasts. A Dynamite Life tells us about, oh, wait, it's called A Dynamite Life.
Mm-hmm.
And you do this with your husband, Tony
Yes.
J.
Yes.
I love that you're able to work together and have an amazing time because I see that you also have a YouTube channel where the two of
Mhm.
you work together and you offer DIYs and tell us about it because I love it. I'm in there watching all your videos. You've got the one on yoga, on minimalism, um, also, and is it called A Tiny Life?
Yeah, so basically, so the podcast A Dynamite Life
Mm-hmm.
is my husband Tony and I sharing what we've been through, what we know, and things that we are coming across and discovering in regards to being an artist, having dynamic relationships, financial freedom, entrepreneurialism, these kind of wonderful aspects that can, again, help us to have the best life, a dynamite life right now. And so we
Yes.
get into conversations and we have good fun and we share things we've learned and things that we're learning and things that we've kind of experienced in our life. And what's great is that with the podcast experience there, you're getting my perspectives and my views through the lens that we've been discussing here, but then you're also getting my husband Tony's perspective and views, and
Hmm.
he is quite a dynamo himself. He was born with osteogenesis imperfecta, which means he has brittle bones. He's broken bones over 70 times in his life.
Oh, wow.
Um, he didn't walk unassisted for the first time until he was in his early 20s. And so he has a really awesome, and he's an author in his own right. He authored a book called Disable Your Disability. And so, he's very, he brings his own power and mix. He's an artist himself. myself. So it's great because we get together and then we just kind of have a good time together, but you're also getting these two different perspectives, not only male and female, but just coming from the different backgrounds and experiences and things that we specialize on. Um, and then the YouTube channel, my YouTube channel is based on transformation made easy through joy. And
Mm-hmm.
what I cover there is basically aspects surrounding. I actually started doing something new this year in that I started really kind of allowing people to come into more of my personal journey as well, and things that I'm going through along the way instead of simply sharing things that I've already proven.
Mm.
And so we're having a good time there. We joined the tiny living movement roughly 3 years ago and decided to go from traditional living and, let's see, we usually have around what most people have around 1,000 square feet, 1,200 square feet and up. And
Yes.
we decided to completely downsize. And so we live tiny and we cover things about that. Um, we cover on my channel, that's where you'll see Tony and I together on the
Mm-hmm.
videos about tiny living and living in our trailer in the desert and what we go through and how we upgrade it and things like that. But then I also cover new avenues that I've been exploring and refining in my own life.
Yes.
I've been a yogi since 2009, off and on.
Mm-hmm.
However, I last year I got my yoga teacher certification. This year I've taken on, just to give you a little bit of insight, this year
Mm-hmm.
I've taken on a challenge for myself to do yoga every single day uninterrupted for the next year. So I take you on what that is
Wow.
like. I take you on, I'm exploring in different avenues because um, I'm now entering a phase in of my life where becoming plant-based is more and more not only attractive but
Mm-hmm.
desired. So things about holistic living, tiny living,
Mm.
minimalism, and then of course there's the spiritual component as well. I have prayers there and things of that nature. So things that would provide not only insights in my experience per se, but
Yes.
also potential inspiration and how-tos so that my viewers can feel free. And then we have like sometimes I'll throw a video up about my buzz cut because people ask me questions about that and want to know. And so,
Right.
that's kind of what things we get into.
No, I love it. I mean, it's very entertaining and it's very informative and healing. And I love the synergy between you and your husband. It's you're drawn in because you want to see what's going to happen next. You want to see more. Now, let me ask you, because as a female, not often do we see a lot of us, which I kind of see it as complete freedom. We take that step to where you do something like give yourself a buzz cut. I think you look absolutely gorgeous. How did you decide to take that journey?
Oh, goodness gracious. So, um, I had my hair was roughly down to the lowest rib, my
Mm.
back.
Mhm.
Um, this for me was interesting only because I mean I actively grew it out naturally. It doesn't happen instantaneously. However, as a young girl, uh, the longest I've ever had my hair was all the way down past my seat, if you will.
Yes.
And at that time, being a little girl, raised in a Latin family, my dad was like, "We're not cutting her hair. That hair's never going to get cut." And I remember very, very clearly, very vividly that one day my mother conspired with me and
Mm.
allowed it to be so that I cut my hair into a bob as a girl, and we kind of did it very much against what my father wanted.
How did your
And
father respond?
Oh, he did not like that at all. He was not a fan, and it was great. But you know, at that point, I felt just so free, and so here I was as an
Mm,
adult woman, um, just actually, gosh, at the top of 2020 with
mm,
this hair now, because as women, we always change our minds and we love to express ourselves in a multitude of ways. And so, after having various short haircuts, I started to desire long hair, and I had this fantasy of all the ways that I would style it.
mm,
And so here I go on my mission to grow my hair out, and it's at my uh, lowest rib down my back, and I've been having fun. However, I start to somehow subconsciously feel trapped.
mm.
Uh, Perhaps it's because of what had happened with my father's attitude back then, or
Right.
and then also these other things, how interesting, where maybe I'd go in for a hug with my husband, and then my hair would get caught, or maybe I'm in the shower and it's taking long because my hair's so long. I just started to
Mm,
feel a little trapped by this. And so I wanted a big change. So, top of 2020, I decided, and mind you, I had wanted to go buzzed for a while. At this time, I had been
mm.
considering it about 2 years. I'd be talking to a girlfriend about it off and on. She was like, just do it, just do it. Um, but the big change, I still didn't choose buzz cut right away. In March of 2020, I cut my hair from the length that I had previously described to shoulder length, and I went blonde.
Okay.
And I looked in the mirror and I was like, okay, cool, but it wasn't the zing. There was no zing.
Mm.
And Mari, the zing is important.
Yes.
We must, as women, we've got to look in the mirror and feel the zing. Otherwise,
That
we are not
sing.
happy.
Yes.
So I'm like, I am not zinging, and something is wrong here. And I just threw down a few $100s on this haircut, spent hours here, and there's no zing. So I'm like,
Yes.
okay, maybe I just need to settle into this. Days pass, I'm still not feeling it. And all of a sudden, I just turned to my husband. I tell you, it had been only 2 weeks. And I turned to my husband and I'm like, I'm gonna buzz my head. And he's like, are you serious? And not in a way that was not wanting it, but he was just thinking, he's like, babe, are you gonna regret this? Because you just went through this big change.
Mm.
You paid a lot of money, you spent all that time, and you're not happy. What if you cut all your hair
Right.
and you're not happy? And I'm like, honey, something about this idea, before even enacting it, I'm zinging. I gotta have the zing.
Yes. Yes.
So, so we run to Walmart of all places, and I get myself a pair of clippers because I've been thinking about it. Week passes, I haven't let go of this idea, and so we go, we get ourselves some. I get myself the clippers, and I just tell them, I'm like, look, I'm just gonna get the clippers, and if I don't use them, I can return them. They'll be new.
Right.
But I feel like, cause we're still thinking about it. And
Right.
he's like, girl, I know you. You've already made up your mind. So sure enough, it was important to me that the buzz cut happen by my own hand,
Hmm.
only because it was a very big decision and I wanted to feel very much in ownership of it. And so, sure enough, I decided to just turn on the camera because apparently that's what all normal people do.
Of course.
Of course. And I hopped in the shower stall and dressed, of course,
Yes.
and began to buzz my head and film it. And I tell you, I buzzed my head with a 3 clip the first time,
Hmm.
and I felt alive. In the
Wow.
middle of doing it, as half of my hair is coming off of my head, I begin to feel giddy and happy and joyous. And the 3 clip, which then was like, oh my gosh, look at what am I doing?
Right.
I'm now buzzing my hair with a 0 clip, and I love it. It's I feel so good, and oddly enough, I feel more feminine now if
Wow.
that's even such a thing. But
Yes.
I feel more feminine now with my hair this way than I did when I had my longest hair.
Hmm.
So, you know,
Wow, that's a beautiful journey because I just listened to it and so often we're controlled by the concept and idea of what, people expect us to look like. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. It is fierce, it's gorgeous, it is divine. You look like a beautiful goddess holding space, and you are inspiring a lot of people, to let go and truly, live life for themselves and not be controlled by the expectations of the outer world. So I
that
applaud you.
thank you so
It is
much.
beautiful. Now, let me
Thank
ask
you.
you, you spoke about you started this journey at the beginning of the year. We're going to move into the portion of the interview where we kind of ask you a few little zing questions, should we say. Um,
Okay.
this last year of your life
Mhm.
has been fill in the blank. This past year, meaning 2020, now we're in 2021. What has this past year been for you?
This past year has been transformative for me.
Mm,
Absolutely transformative. This
beautiful.
last year has been an incredible blessing. Mhm.
Yes. Yes. Now, who is your greatest inspiration? Or who or what is your greatest inspiration, or if it's a person or an idea or a thing?
My greatest inspiration is Jesus Christ, and my greatest inspirational thought is freedom, true
Hmm.
personal freedom for myself and for every person that lives.
Wow. Well, that's very synchronistic because the next question is there a specific moment that you can remember where you felt 100% absolutely free?
Oh, wow. Yes, it's funny. Actually, I just had this feeling yesterday. I was wrapping up a live yoga session with people from all around the world, and I just felt so good interacting with each person and having them tell me. Some people were expressing gratitude, others were expressing relief from various things they had been experiencing after our practice, and I had completed that, and I went to my phone and I went to my Instagram account where I'm connected with wonderful, wonderful people
Mhm.
that I met at the job, if you will, that I let go of to truly step into being able to give all of my attention
Yes.
to what I do now and what I've been doing. And I saw there, the things that they're going through because they're on location. Um, and I thought to myself, wow, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I get to serve freely. I'm so
Mm.
grateful that I'm freely expressing my truest desire. I'm so grateful to connect with people freely from all over the world. I just felt such a deep sense of gratitude and
Mm.
awareness um, that I'm living a dream version of my life. There was once a time when I dreamed
Wow.
of what I'm doing right now, and I just felt so free, and I just was so grateful, truly, truly grateful. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Wow.
thank you, God.
Thank you,
Yeah.
God. Oh, Teemaree, our very last question that I ask all of my wonderful guests. Do you believe heaven on earth is real and is obtainable here and now?
I absolutely 100% believe that heaven on earth is not only available, but it is actually our birthright and the intended purpose for us being here. I truly, honestly believe that heaven on earth is what we're meant to experience every single day. And while I cannot say what will happen in what we describe as the afterlife, because I believe there's even a greater expression of heaven there
Mm.
too, I absolutely believe that heaven on earth, a true, true feeling of divine purpose, connection, joy, abundance, ability, energy, flexibility, connection, and material. Let us not forget material, the
Yes.
things that fill us up and bring us joy and give us the ability to provide and share and invest and save and give and spend is absolutely available. As a matter of fact, because I believe it so much, that's why I do what I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ah, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being here with us today, Teemaree. I'm just eternally grateful. If you'd like to learn more about Teemaree, please visit the website at www.teemaree.com. You can also find Teemaree on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Heaven on Earth. I'm Mari Rain, sending you love and light.